All right, cool. What's up, guys? Back live with Gabe with the mic. He's a dad, a husband, and MC to the stars. And dude, a new dad. Congratulations, bruh.
Thank you, thank you. I'm stoked. I've never lived on 3 hours of sleep before, at least for a long time, and so it's a lot of fun to get back into that. So
I would say, how you doing with the no sleep?
we're good. It's just we've learned that when he's asleep, just go to sleep. Like
Yes.
we're only a few days in, and we're like, oh man, we're like, oh, we're gonna wind down, and then he wakes up, and you're like, oh, we should have gone to sleep sooner. We should have done that. So
yeah,
so,
the minute the baby closes your eyes, you just close your eyes and hope you sleep too, and then you just kind of see how long you get, and then you get woken right back up by the baby. So
yeah, exactly,
awesome.
exactly.
All right, well, yeah, here you go, Kenneth, Gabe 2.0. Yeah, because we literally just talked to Gabe from Paper Street Coffee, and his baby just came also.
Oh,
Gabe's are having babies.
So Gabe's are having babies.
You know, it's the thing. It's the thing.
And I love it because we actually were thinking about naming our son Gabe. Our son is named Garrett after her, but we were thinking about, calling him Gabe, but now we're just surrounded by Gabes everywhere. So, everybody's here.
Good,
so it's
good call then. Good
call. Jake Chapman, Gabe, you and I share something, an unwritten Y in our names. Okay. Jakey, Gaby. Okay, I get it. What else do we have in common? I wonder, who is your favorite Backstreet Boy member? I'll go first, Kevin. That's a funny one, Jake. I have to ask you about that later.
I was to say, I mean, I'll listen to the songs, I'll dance to it, but I can't just pick one. They're a group for a reason. So
well, let's start with this. We'll start with the controversy. Are you team Backstreet Boys or are you team NSYNC? Now we got to know.
See, I think when that song comes to mind, it's always Backstreet Boys, but like whenever I try to make a reference, I always somehow turn into NSYNC. So
yeah, they each have their place. They have their moments, their place. Like their songs hit differently. Like I can get with you with that.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's go. Seema's right. Seema, who this guy? You have
just a guy.
Just a guy. Just a Gabe. He's a Gabe. He's a Gabe.
Yeah.
With the mic. Gabe with the mic.
So you've MC'd. Well, I saw you I've seen you before. I didn't realize it when I was we live streamed Mountain West for Carl, and then your shout out to Jonathan Ortega.
Yeah,
dude, bro. Like wherever you are, shout out.
Good dude. I mean, he's connected us with so many people, so definitely appreciate him.
Thank you, Ortega. You're the best.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, oh no, he's the dude. You did Wadapalooza. You've MC'd. Like, where else? Help me out. You did the Proven Fitness.
Yeah, and then before this one, the bigger one, I had the opportunity to do West Coast Classic this last year.
Oh shit.
Okay.
So that was a really cool experience. That was my first time ever doing it where there's broadcast involved, because like Wadapalooza, there's broadcast, but they're not like timing it and all that stuff. So West Coast was a cool one because you're going by the broadcast time, not just, hey, my watch it's time to go, So that was probably the bigger one streaming wise that I've ever done. So
how do you get into this? Do your parents just take you to an event when you're like 12 and you see an MC and you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to do this. Like, this is where we're going right now.
No, like, so MCing is really new for me, actually. I really only got my start last May, like actually saying like, hey, I should kind of do this a little bit more. I grew up, I was a theater kid, and, I went to college for theater, and then I didn't keep on going with college, but I've always kind of had a personality where, put me in front of a room and I'm comfortable. And so like, I've always found opportunities to speak. I was a trainer, a corporate trainer for years, so I was always comfortable in front of a room. And then my gym, they host a fundraiser comp every year, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and they wanted to bring in some bigger MCs. And for one thing or another, the MCs fell through. So we pulled a local guy, and then the organizer was like, I just need a backup. I can't have this one guy for 2 straight days, you know? And I was just like, I can do it. Like, let me fill in where you want me to fill in. And he was hesitant. He and I are really, really tight, but he's like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if I can trust you. And but no, so he let me try it, and the other MC was like, I just want to go 50-50 on this. Like, I don't want to do more or less. And it was a great time. And then that's actually the organizer of Mountain West, which was proven last year, but Mountain West this year. He competed at that comp, and then they had the same need. They had an MC where they needed to fill the spot. I guess my name got thrown out. And then the Mountain West last year was actually like my first real gig, you know. And from there, I was just like, man, this is really cool. I threw in for Wadapalooza as a volunteer, and while I was at Proven last year, like on the second day, I got the email saying like, hey, I made the volunteer MC spot for Wadapalooza, which was really cool. And then I just kind of kept doing local stuff, and Wadapalooza was cool because I met some people who do this more full time, who are around the circuit. And it's just been a really good year of meeting people and, you know, getting connections. But I'm still really new at this, though. I think that's the thing that people don't really know. Like, I haven't.
How do you practice it? Do you just turn the TV on mute and just start like emceeing to a muted television? This is so fascinating to me. I just can't imagine grabbing a mic and going up in front of thousands of people and calling the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I've never like just been like, okay, I need to practice my enunciation and this. I've never done that aside from like when I was in high school and college for theater. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. I just more so I have lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm known as the fun uncle, and I would do voices, or I would, you know, just be over dramatic or whatever. And emceeing, I was like, I don't feel like I have a limitation. I'll just kind of play into that. And then I also coached. I coached for about a year and a half at my gym, and I don't know, just it got me used to the CrossFit scene of, you know, how would I critique this, or what would I say about this, you know? And there wasn't ever like any dedicated that I'm practicing this, but I feel like maybe unintentionally I have been practicing for it.
So how do you get into the CrossFit emceeing scene? Like, did you find CrossFit first, and then you were like, I love it here, and then you started to kind of do what you were just saying? Like, you would kind of look at stuff and like, what would I say about that? How would I talk about that? How would I critique that? Like, walk us down how you kind of got into the CrossFit MC space.
So that was CrossFit always came first. Like I emceeing wasn't even on the radar for me. I was introduced right before my wife and I got married. We lived in southern Utah, and I was a part of a gym there for a year. We got married. I did the typical married thing of like, I'm married now, I don't need fitness, you know, and I kind of fell off.
You are speaking to the choir right now. Yes, you're not alone.
And, you know, fell off, and then moved up to Salt Lake City for a job. And my wife met some people at a local CrossFit gym here. They invited us, and I was like, okay, cool. I know CrossFit. I've done it before. I know CrossFit. And it was the community aspect was the biggest thing that drew me in. I'm not the type of person to go into a Globo gym and I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm going to get the best out and I'm going to do these results. I'm not that person. I need social aspect.
You need people.
Yeah.
Well, yep.
And you know, there's just something about finishing a workout. This is what got me, was finishing a workout and being like, fuck yeah, I just did that. You know? Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on there.
Absolutely.
Wait, I'm married. I still have to work out. Yeah, we do. But you don't realize you do until later on.
No, you enjoy that honeymoon phase, and then you realize 6 months later what said honeymoon phase looks like on you now, and then you realize, I probably should go back to the gym.
And that's exactly how it was. But like the community of CrossFit is really what drew me in and made fitness fun. Fitness has never been fun for me. Like I did sports all growing up, and then through my own, interests, decided I want to do theater. You don't work out in theater.
Yeah.
You don't do it. So like fitness was just a huge gap and it was gone for me. And then CrossFit was just, I like the people I'm with. I like, doing these lifts and having people cheer me on and me cheering other people on. And so CrossFit always came first. And so before emceeing in CrossFit, any of emceeing opportunities was all professional through work or like chamber events or those kinds of things. I've emceed that kind of stuff. And so that's why I think it wasn't a huge leap for me to say, hey, I want to try this. But CrossFit came first, and I just have a love for CrossFit, the community, and really everything. I attribute a lot to CrossFit for where my life is going. So
you told us before you've been married for 7 years. You guys have been together 10. So when you're like, hey, honey, I want to do this emceeing thing. I want to travel around and do all these things and volunteer for all these things. Cause you said you volunteer. So you don't get paid for this, right?
So no, I'm learning that, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But I'm definitely, it's been kind of interesting to, put value on what you do. That's kind of the thing for me is, I believe what I do is valuable, but I also know that not many people know me yet. And so I have to be open to volunteering and doing that kind of stuff. And my wife has been incredible in regards to support. And to be honest, I think it's in your marriage, you kind of go through that slump of like, I love you, but I'm struggling with my own thing. You have that thing that you're working through. And I think my wife is so supportive behind this because she sees a passion or a fire that, to be honest, I don't know how long it's been gone, and I think that's what emceeing has allowed me. And I think that's why my wife is so supportive. She came out to, her and I went out together to Wadapalooza. It was probably the most boring 4 days for her. I would be like, there's vendors and there's this, you want to do it? And she's like, no, she just kind of stood at the stage and like watched me do my thing, and actually funny enough, so it ended Sunday and then we were there for 2 more days just because it also kind of overlaps on our anniversary. And that Monday is when she told me that she was pregnant. And so it was like, I'm already on this high from Wadapalooza. Yeah, I'm volunteering and it was pay my own way, but it was such a unique and crazy experience. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change any of it. And then to top it off, finding out that my wife's pregnant and, we're now expecting, we're going to become parents, all this stuff. And so my wife is a huge reason why I can pursue it, why I can do it, and why I want to. So
was she sick in the first part of her pregnancy?
So that's actually,
so I almost wonder if she was I could just imagine her standing on the stage or close to the stage, like near something in case she was sick for the beginning part of it. Cause she hadn't told you yet.
So there the whole time. So we went to Miami 2 years before that and we did Wadapalooza and then we did our vacation and all that stuff. And we had a lot of fun. And this year's during Wadapalooza, she just didn't seem like she was having that fun. I'm like, are you okay? Like, are you good? And she's like, no, I'm good. Like, I just, I'm just watching you. I'm just enjoying whatever.
Yeah.
And then it was so funny because if you've been to Wadapalooza, unless you're going to go to a restaurant, Whole Foods is the only place you go. Cause it's like the only place you can pay a reasonable price in Miami. And just anytime we were walking anywhere, gosh, Miami smells like shit. Oh God. This is so disgusting. Ah, God.
Yep.
And that's how it was. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, I know you don't like Miami, like downtown Miami, but this is like amped up.
This is the next level.
And I remember kind of thinking, like, is she sick? Or, and then it did cross my mind, like, is she? No, I think she would have said something because anytime we talked about it, she's like, I don't think I could never keep a secret from you.
That was what I was going to ask you next. Like, were you surprised that she was able to hold a secret from you for so long? Because I'm the worst at that. I try to like do surprises for Garrett and I'm the worst at that. I cannot keep anything from her. Like, so was this a big
I was so proud of her because she's the type of person, like, she'll try to like lie to me about something so I don't catch on, and I'll call her on it like immediately, you know. But this, I think she said she went like 14 or 15 days, you know, without telling me anything, you know. And she was so proud of herself and everything, and I was proud of her. I was like, man, I'm kind of mad I didn't know sooner, but at the same time, like, you actually kept a secret from me. Like,
Yeah.
like good on you, you know.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, it was I had my suspicions, but I couldn't have put my finger on it.
So is it possible to actually like make a living? Is that your goal, to make a living off of emceeing?
It would be a dream to. I don't think that's viable unless you do broadcast. Like, that's one thing I'm learning. The other MC that I worked with this weekend, Miranda, she just got married. Miranda, I think it's Gwynn now. Miranda Gwynn. Before is Miranda Paredes, something like that. Sorry if she watches this. I'm sorry, I didn't remember. But she kind of talked about how, like, she's kind of mixed with broadcast and mixed with this. And, if you look at, you got Bella Martin, she kind of balances the broadcast side and the emceeing side. I think that's when it can be viable as a full-time. But if you're going to stick to like a competition MC, you might be busy every weekend, but I highly doubt it would be a full-time thing. It would be cool if it got to that point, but it would definitely be a lot of work and probably ungodly amounts of travel.
That's what I was going to say. How's that going to work with the travel and the baby? And because is that your goal? Is your goal to MC the games?
I would love to work up to that point. And my wife and I, we've had brief conversations about it. And I think what it comes down to is, who am I at home? Am I not present at home? And then I leave on the weekend and, it's even more painful for her? Or am I a present father, a present husband? Am I somebody who, my wife feels supported when I'm around? I think that would be the difference. And I think that would be kind of the sign for me of whether it's right for me to go or not. For example, like, I technically have a gig on Saturday for a local semi-pro football. I have that gig, but it doesn't feel right for me because I just had a baby. I don't want to just leave my wife and have her alone. It's local. It's only a few hours, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel right. And I think that's what it's going to be for me is, where am I taking our relationship with our son? Where is that going to be? And am I going to feel confident in our relationship that I'm okay to step away for 3-4 days or whatever the time commitment is? So I think that, I'm learning, but I think that's what I'm shooting for.
That's crazy. The way that I've seen you and all the video that I've gone back and heard you don't sound like a new MC. It's crazy. Let's get this. Jake Chapman, is Gabe coming to Rogue?
As of right now, I have some local stuff planned out, but I don't have anything bigger. And part of it, that's kind of the other thing is you try to get into these circuits, but then a lot of it's cold calling or, reaching out. The Venice Beach just had Painkiller. I reached out to them. I said, hey, I'm an MC. What would I do? And they just gave me an email. And I'm like, okay, that might not go anywhere. So I think that's the other part is one of the at Wadapalooza, I worked with 2 MCs that I know they do Rogue, and so I think it's just kind of continuing to build that network to where I do have people contacting me. Miranda, who I worked with this weekend, she's been an MC for several years, and she kind of coached me through a few things and talked about how she's finally made the transition where she's no longer reaching out to people, right? She's the one being contacted, and I think that's the goal. But I understand I got to pay my dues first. So,
hold on, let me get it into this. Jan Clark, can we ask Gabe the coffee bean question again? I don't know what that is, but I'm sure he'd probably like it.
I have it up here.
Jeffrey Birchfield, does it pay?
No, Jan Clark, we are not asking the coffee question.
So he said you're a volunteer right now, right? But eventually, like some of the higher level.
It depends on the event. So like Wadapalooza, West Coast Classic, those are all one company, Loud and Live Sports, right?
Yeah.
And I've had conversation with the organizer. Dylan Malitsky is one of the big wigs over there, right? And they have a structure of, you're only allowed to volunteer for us 1, maybe 2 times, and if you're not getting contacted from us after that, you're probably not going to come back, right?
Oh wow.
And actually talking about Ortega, he kind of talked about his Wadapalooza experience with us this weekend. And it was like, hey, if you come volunteer here and you don't get connections out of this, that's kind of on you, not on us, right? And it's completely true. I mean, you need to be able to not only MC and do those things, but you also have to be a vibe. You have to be somebody that people want to be around. Both attendees and staffers and volunteers, right? So I think that's one of the big misconceptions is, that it's all rainbows and butterflies and everything. It's really not. I mean, you got to work the grindstone, and you gotta really build up to who and start building those connections, building that rapport, that resume. And I feel like it's coming for me, but I still got some work. I still got some work to put in. For sure.
I had to get you early. I need to get you early before you
make it. But don't forget
us. Jeffrey Birchfield, you were talking about the semi-pro football team. Does that pay? And also, aren't you doing a rugby? Are you doing a rugby
team?
So
I filled in for a Major League Rugby, and that's kind of, again, talking about networks. I know one of the guys. He's one of the main guys who runs the day of game events. Their main their main announcer was he just couldn't be there that game, and so they had me jump on. It was really cool. I had a great time with all of them. But as of now, they still have him on contract, so it's more of like I'll be the fill-in, and then maybe when contracts change, which actually this guy he has an amazing voice. Utah just got a hockey team, and he's putting in for that, so there could be changes. But in regards to Major League Rugby, I'm a fill-in right now, which I don't mind at all. It was such a fun experience, and if they call me, if the day's open, I'm going to be there. And so going back to the pay question, it just kind of depends on the event. This semi-pro football team, it's kind of a hybrid. It's kind of weird. It's like 25 and younger on this team, so they identify as a semi-pro team, but I don't know if you would say they're semi-pro team. But like this is their first year, and so they basically said like, hey, we do commissions on tickets, we do commissions on sponsorships, we do so they have a way to pay you, but they can't per se say, hey, we're going to pay you this much, right? So that's for that football one. As for CrossFit, there are paying gigs. Mountain West was a paying gig. There's other local comps. Like if it's local, I'm either really cheap or you can just hook me up with some sick swag because I'm just trying to add to my resume right now. Right. And that's kind of what it's been for local. Utah is actually really great for a lot of CrossFit competitions. Like it feels like there's at least 1 to 2 a month here locally that you can be a part of. But in regards to these bigger ones, your Wadapaloozas, your Rogue, your those kinds of things, you really have to be established to get onto that staff side. And staff is cool. And, for me, I've got a buddy who MCs out of Florida, and he and I are kind of on the same, like, if you can pay for my trip, you can make my trip completely free, I'm willing to go right now. Mm-hmm. Is that going to change with me having a kid and like time commitments? Yeah, but I'm willing to do it depending on the circumstance. But past that, I'm probably going to need some money to make it worth it. So
yeah, for sure. Knowing that this is like giving a lot more of your time, how do you keep going when it's frustrating that it's a lot of just time right now and not necessarily financials?
So that's actually the conversation my wife and I have been having, and because I think with the mindset of I'm just getting going, I got to put myself out there. I've got to do these volunteer ones so that they recognize me in those things. What we kind of talked about was realizing I need to make sure I know when to step out of that. I can be volunteer for this certain amount of time, but there is a time when I should no longer be volunteer. And I think that's where I'm kind of getting to. You know, my wife and I set the goal of, you know, let me build my resume in 2024 to where starting 2025, I'm a paid MC. I don't accept volunteer gigs under specific circumstance, right? If you're down the road and it's a half day, I'm willing to do it, right? But and that's kind of the struggle, and it's kind of that imposter syndrome of like, am I really that valuable? Am I worth saying, hey, no, I need to get paid to do this? And you know, I think that's actually one of the things I got this weekend at Mountain West. You know, I didn't room with, I got my own room, but Ortega was in the next room, right?
Come on, don't lie. He said he was in the room with you.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sitting right here with
lie.
Gabe
Don't
right
lie.
now.
You can tell the truth.
You can tell the truth.
But no, like seeing Ortega's schedule and how he's like, you know, if I come out a certain point ahead, like I'm willing to do it. But he's to a point where he has all of that, the years of background and all this that he's done, where he knows his value, and he has no idea. I mean, I watched him for a second going through requests, and he's like, this much for this? No. This much for that? No. This much? Oh, I'd do that. Yes. You know, like, and it's like, oh my God, like that value that he's established for himself. That, I mean, I'm in a different space, right? But it's the same ideology. Like, I want to get to that point where, you know, people know that I'm worth whatever X amount that they're thinking, right?
That's awesome. Okay, I need to know your actual process when you go on the floor. Like, before you go on the floor to get hyped up to go out there, do you drink like 3 C4s, kiss your wife, and then run out there? Do you sit there and like close your eyes and envision how the event's gonna go?
Are you a crazy one? Do you do a bunch of burpees? Like, are you one of those crazy ones? Like, what do you do to prepare?
Nah. If you see me from the side angle, you're like, no, he doesn't do burpees. You know, like burpees is the last thing you're gonna catch him doing. But no, like I always like to make sure I know the comp itself, right? And that's what I connect to. You know, John and Abby, who are the organizers of Mountain West, they are incredible people, truly incredible people. And the community that they've created, and I've talked to them about their vision behind creating this event and how it started from, you know, hey, we're doing this in our gym, to now we got to rent this huge arena, and now we're going to do it bigger next year and bigger next year. You know, I think one of it for me is making sure I understand the event itself. You know, Wadapalooza is easy to get behind because it's a party, right? I did one last month that's it's called 65 Roses, and it is a fundraiser comp for cystic fibrosis, and it was easy to get connected to the people there, to the organizer whose daughter has cystic fibrosis. And you know, I think the first step for me is I just got to understand who am I announcing for. The second part of it is I like to have fun. I like to get interaction. I like to make people laugh. I probably crack one too many jokes, you know, a little bit more than I should. But I want to know that I'm going to have fun out there. And I think that's where I don't restrict myself on what I'm going to say or what I'm going to do, you know? And so I would say those are the top two. And then the third one, I mean, if they would sponsor me, I'd probably be sponsored by Rain, to be honest. I've had so
living
many
off of Rain.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, even this weekend they sponsored the event, so it was like unlimited, and then I left with like 3 cases of Rain, and I'm like, oh God, my heart's gonna stop before I get home, you know.
Ed, I'm gonna ask this question for you, but I do not sell feet pics anywhere for a side hustle in case anybody wants to know. Does Gabe have a voice warm up? Hold up, and then they start. Kenneth, shot of whiskey. Jake, do you gargle? See my boobs. Do re me.
Yeah.
And then someone, I think Jan would warm you up. Jake, I would warm. Yeah. Oh, lemon jello.
Lemon jello. Yeah, lemon jello.
Yeah.
No, I mean, to be honest, I don't have a huge warm up. I I make sure I'm already a social person. So even when we have those early morning starts, I'm talking to everybody, just trying to get that going. And then as we get into it, Ricola, the little chews with the like soft inside, I'm down in those like nonstop. But I don't know. I mean, I'm the type of person where just even in my basic conversation, I try to make sure people can understand me. So not saying that me just talking in general is a warm up, but I talk enough to be a warm up.
So when you're on the floor, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of moving parts. Do you have notes that you keep, or are you handed like per heat? Are you handed a list of people's names so that you know who's on the floor and what part, as well as notes on what the actual workout is?
Yeah. So the well-established comps have heat sheets, and they've got, the workouts laid out somewhere where it's easy to see. And I like to do, like, for prep, I like to go through and read all the workouts, make sure I understand them as best I can. And that kind of helps me in that sense. But then for heat sheets, those are, I mean, I'm either on Comp Corner, like reading names off, going through, or I have a physical paper, which is fantastic. That's what I prefer. That's what every MC prefers. But in regards to organization, I like to read through the heats before I go on. Miranda and I tag team this one at Mountain West, and it was like, hey, let's do 3 on, 3 off. So when I started, I went through the 3 just to kind of know the team names. Team names are always easy, but once you get to freaking
individuals, names?
Oh my gosh. I see some names and I'm like, couldn't you just like abbreviate? Nobody's going to say that, like, and I'll have people tap me on the shoulder. Hey, it's actually this. And I'm like,
appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Like, I'll get it next time,
Yep.
How do you, well, Jeffrey brought up this, and then I have a question too. Most MCs follow the judges and check the scorecards as well. Do you?
Yeah. I mean, so in regards to knowing the workout, I make sure that I can just cite it, or I have it on my phone, on my clipboard, so I know that. But I love to walk around and try and see the judges' cards, because that's the other thing. There's kind of 2 levels to emceeing. There's emceeing what's going on and the workout and the names and just kind of keeping it general. But then there's also tying people into where to look, right? And I think that's one of the things that I've learned the most this last year is my job isn't just to announce people going on. It's also to keep the audience attention and their direction. Right. And that's where I've probably, I would say I've improved the most. And I actually learned it from West Coast Classic. One of the MCs who was a veteran MC, Joshy Gallegos, he would say like, okay, we got so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. You're 1, 2, and 3 are Gizan, Spiegel, this, and I was like, oh, 1, 2, and 3. Like, I've never thought about like calling it out like that. So that people know, okay, I know this is where they're at. This is where, and it's really fun. It is tiring to make sure that you know who's where and what's going on. I love workouts where they have a marker of where they're at.
Yes.
Because it's so much easier.
Because you can follow the floor. It's like, oh, Spiegel's in front because she's actually in front.
Yes. Yeah. Those are fantastic. But you don't have those every time. You have some comps that'll throw an AMRAP in there, that'll throw whatever, and it's just doing your best to stay out of the way, but being able to get close enough to check in. I mean, Mountain West had one that was a calorie. I think that was the one that you guys jumped on.
Yeah.
Was the calorie one, right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
were you confused? Because we were confused.
We were figuring it out as it was going on.
But I think the athletes thought too.
I may have misspoke the workout to start it, so I may have been the cause of a little bit of the confusion.
That's amazing.
That's all right. You take ownership.
I was going to ask you anyway.
Yeah.
Because it was, so what it was it was 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and at every 2 minutes they switch machines, right? Each one switches. Well, I read 2, 2, 2, and then 1 minute rest, And so my brain went, oh, it's 2-1-2-1-2-1. And so I kind of announced that at the beginning, and we're getting close to the 2-minute mark, and somebody comes over and just says, hey, just so you know, it's 2-2-2. There's no rest. Like, I don't know where you got that.
Yep.
There's no rest. And so I was like, oh, all right, as soon as it hits the 2 minutes, they're going to immediately switch and get going. And everybody heard except I think like one group. They like kind of looked around. They're like, what the hell? You know, and that's on me. That's where I'm like, shit. All right, that was my fuck up. Like 100% that was me. And you know, that's what happens. But in regards to the calorie one, it's like you have 3 machines going. There's no way I'm going to check in on all 3 machines. So I was like, well, my biggest walking room is behind the bike. I'll just check in on bike calories right here.
Yep.
And then that part 2, which was drag rope doubles and bike, same thing. I'll check in on bike. I have no clue where the drag rope doubles are at, you know, and
it's all
no
cool.
way I'm gonna know. So yeah.
Yep.
Bill Grunler was in the house, or he's still in the house. What's up, dude?
Hi, Bill.
I hate when the judges don't tell you what the reps are when you're trying to get info.
Oh, good, because was that your question, babe? Because that was my next question.
Go ahead. Do they?
Are the judges nice to you when you go up and you're trying to see like where they're at and what rep count they're at? Are they nice or are they not always nice?
I would say they're always nice to me because I pay attention on when I'm asking them, right? Like if they're in the middle of counting, I ain't going up to them, you know, but if they're doing a tag out, if they're doing some kind of transition or switch, like that's when I'll go up and I'll just like lightly tap on the shoulder and, you know, most of them, they kind of know just, you know, like, hey, they just turn their clipboard and it's a quick look, keep on going. So for the most part, I've had good experiences. But I think that's really up to the timing of when you ask, because I can count decent, but you know, you throw in somebody tapping on my shoulder and I'm trying to count, I don't, you know, that can easily mess me up. So I try to avoid that for other people.
Well, you just talked about it, but what is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you? Have you ever ran into a camera guy? Have you ever, you know,
tripped over something?
I've eaten shit over a rower so many times. But you know, I tell this story so proudly because even though it was so embarrassing, it was honestly so cool. At Wadapalooza, they have so many different divisions, and I was at the Gauntlet, which is the community comp space, right? And they had to shift because of some of the rain and all that stuff that they had, that they were doing the adaptive lower extremity. We're doing bike cows. And if you haven't seen it, for the bike cows, they go onto the front of the Echo bike, and then they have their own handle clipped onto it. And then they literally just go back and forth for the calories. Well, for those of you guys who know Kevin Ogar, all right, he was in charge of overseeing all of that, and they're going and we've got the crowd around. It's so cool. I mean, like I love the adaptive division because they're like, you know, don't put limitations on me. Like that's the first mindset behind it. So it was already a cool experience. And Kevin Ogar comes up to me and he's like, hey, come here. And I like lean over. He's like, hey, I need you to say exactly what I tell you to say. I'm like, I don't think I feel like I should be worried right now. And he's like, I need you to tell me or to say exactly what I tell you. Okay. I was like, okay. And he tells me what to say. And I was like, I can't say that. I can't say that. And he's all, say it. And like, you know, just,
oh my God,
like
what was it? You're killing me.
So anyways, so I turn and they're going, and I was like, you know, one thing's for sure, these athletes will not be walking after this one. And oh my gosh, I immediately like kind of look down, and you have everybody, all the spectators, they just like are watching their athlete, and they just look at me like, what the hell did you just say? And if you know Tommy Miazga, like he had his whole LSKD crew, they're filming all that stuff. And as soon as I said that, they all look up at me like, we're going to kick this guy's ass. Like, what the hell was that? And then the coolest thing happened. The audience and myself at the same time looked at the athletes, and there was not one athlete laughing their ass off. because that's their comedy. They're like, no, like this is funny to me. Like this
Yeah,
is
they were
awesome.
all they were all laughing. Yeah,
Every single one of them were just like, oh, I just, it brought me so much joy. I mean, it scared me shitless first, but it brought me so much joy to like see that I made them laugh about something that anybody could make like a dark situation, you know, or a sad thing. So
you just thought you ended your entire career right there.
He's like, I'm done.
What a way to start and finish, you know? Like,
and then thank God for the athletes and the crew and the crowd that was just like, it's just funny. And I mean, did you see Kevin Ogar's roast? That was hilarious.
He was great in his roast.
Did you see his roast?
I don't think I did, no.
That was hilarious. And I mean, they were taking some punches at each other, and everybody was just laughing. It was so funny.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Hey, is emceeing really, is it most of it just improv? Is it almost like you have to be a stand-up comic a little bit?
No, I mean, there's different ranges of MCs. You have the professional ones that, you know, I'm going to keep you in touch with what's going on. I'm going to keep you in touch with all of this stuff. And those are great MCs. Those are fantastic. And then you have some that are similar to me where I like to make sure people are laughing or enjoying their time or whatever. And so I definitely do a lot more improv. It's not a requirement. It's what it comes down to is, can you speak well with a good tone? And can you call and point the audience's attention in the right direction, right? Those are probably the two big ones. Anything past that is your own personality or your own kind of twist on it. And I think that's, for me, making it my own. I need to lighten up the situation in a way, or I need to make people kind of, I don't know, more lighthearted or just, you know, more excited about what's there. And I think part of that is also getting amped with the event itself. I know some MCs who will announce the winners and do all that, and that's good. And me, I mean, I'll raise my voice and I'll kind of, you know, go with the crowd as the crowd's getting louder. I'm getting louder, you know. There's no wrong way to MC in regards to those personalities, but for me, I have a lot more fun getting hyped with the crowd or trying to relate to the crowd more.
Can you talk us through the relationship communication that you have with like the whole crew? So it's you guys on the floor, it's the announcers, it's the media, it's the like, you have so many people there from different corners of the event that are trying to make this go on so that the people in the audience know what's going on. But then if it's streaming and we're watching it online, like we can also see. So can you kind of talk to us how that communication works with all of the different people in it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's kind of different depending on who you're communicating with. Like, you have the local comps, you have the volunteers who they're like, I'm just here for the day, right? So communication might be a little bit different, but whenever you're dealing with a head judge, an organizer, or whatever, I think you always start with like a level of respect with each other. Like, there's no, you know, pre-assumption of who this person is or whatever. And so I would say that for the most part, the biggest thing is you have to be open to whoever anybody is. And I think that's what's cool that's one of my favorite things about CrossFit is it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter your political affiliation, your views on anything. Like, if you're here for the sport of CrossFit, that's really the basis of what you're doing, right? And in regards to communication with anybody that I work with, I just kind of treat it as like, I don't know you, but I'm going to assume that I'm going to like you, right? And that's the way I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to talk to you as though we're already good friends. We're already BFFs, right? This last weekend, the girl who sang the national anthem freaking crushed it. She had one little tiny part where her voice kind of struggled, and I used to do voice and all those kinds of things, so like I noticed it, but because she did that, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna sing this thing. And she doubled what she did in rehearsal, and it was incredible. She was so good. And I walked up to her and I was like, that was incredible. And the first thing she did was point out her little crack. And I said, but did you pick up the end because you did that? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, you fucking crushed it.
It's good. Right? Like, yeah.
And that's kind of a weird way to bring my story around. But like, I don't know her. I don't know her background. I don't know I know I would have been devastated if I cracked and those kinds of things. But the way she came around told me that this person's probably a good person to hang out with. Right. And
Do
so
you guys have like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you
No,
guys
you're good.
have like I was gonna say walkie-talkies. Is that too old? Did I just age us?
Wow. So much.
Do you,
So much you just aged us.
or do you have
It's
like
fine.
earpieces? Do you have ways that you can communicate with people, or is that more for people that are in like the boost
I think,
versus you
yeah,
and the MC? Like
that's
yeah.
more broadcast. Yeah,
Okay.
no. I mean,
you have
like
no way to communicate with broadcast at all. Like they can't
No.
tell you something and you. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean, and when you're dealing like West Coast Classic, it's different because aside from the like Heat 1 and Heat 2, the broadcasters are actually going on the live stream. So there's really no, like, they really don't have a reason for us to be involved in any of the conversation because they're going to commentate over us.
Gotcha.
You know, Mike Richards, if you guys know Mike Richards, he's another big MC. He told me, like, when we were going on, he's like, just so you know, this is Heat 1, so they're going to hear you because broadcast isn't going to talk. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Mhm.
That's how
like,
we know your voice from
Yeah.
Wadapalooza.
Yeah.
That's the reason we know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that's kind of how it was. It was like, oh, okay, like, don't mess up. Like that was kind of the
pressure. Yeah.
yeah. But in regards to communication, it's all just, you know, am I paying attention to the side, and you know, I have to make sure that, yes, I'm focused on the event, but I do look over to the head judge or look over to whatever and make sure that I'm good, because somebody will tell me if I'm wrong. They're not going to tell me if I'm right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of how it is. Yeah. Communication is very minimal in regards to like real-time communication on that side.
Gotcha.
Kenneth the Lab, go get the Heat 1 app, go download it. Yes, go do that. Help out Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Love Tyler. Was Wadapalooza a party? Or is Gabe a Wadapalooza party dude? Did you party? Did you work all day and hang out all night? No, your wifey was there. You can do anything. You're
at least not last year, because she wasn't feeling too great.
Yeah. I mean, we were definitely up to like go out and do something, but it was kind of one of those. I mean, if anybody who's worked an event knows, you're 10 times more tired than if you competed in it, right? And I mean, I remember Sunday ended and it was kind of like, oh, we're gonna have a debrief and we're all gonna come together and we'll have beers and we'll do all this, and then it kind of turned into like, hey, we're all kind of tired, like let's just go back to our rooms, you know. And I'm always down for a party. After 4 days of working an event, you know, that's where it's like, you know what, I think I'm okay sitting this one out. So it's kind of a toss.
How do you keep your social battery really high? Because obviously doing this for 4 days, you have to be on point. Like you said, you're a very social person, not just emceeing, but making connections and having conversations. And for most of us, we have a limit in our social battery. So how are you able to navigate the height of your social battery and then feel the dips, and then how do you get recharged again?
A lot of it comes down to self-awareness, you know. I guess this kind of goes back to when I was younger, but like I had a real struggle of discovering what my identity was. Like, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to this, you know? I love my family member because when he comes in, he's infectious in a room. Like your attention immediately draws to him. I love this person because everybody loves them because they're always so kind. They're always so this. And I kind of found myself over time, I still think I'm working on it, but creating my identity of like, I never want anybody to interact with me and be like, God, what's up that guy's ass? You know, I never want that experience for anybody because I wouldn't want it for myself. And so it's taken work, but I think one of the things I need to do, or I make sure I do, is I actually take breaks. It's so easy to just stay in an event, like even if I'm sitting on the sideline, to just stay there. But to actually go away, like at Wadapalooza, I'm going to go back to the volunteer area. I'm going to sit at the picnic table. I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm just going to chill for a little bit. That really went a long way. And it was kind of nice because since my wife was there, it was like, hey, let's go just to have me and you time for a little bit. And I think that's kind of how I monitor where I'm at, because I can feel when I'm dragging, and I can only do 1,000+ milligrams of caffeine every so often.
I would say you can only drink so much rain, right? You can't. I mean,
trying
unless
to
they
keep
put
it
it in an
going.
IV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think part of it is being self-aware of when I do need to step back and just give myself some time. But then the other part of it is like, I'm kind of how I talked about connecting with your event, knowing why you're there. I ride other people's energy. And like, I try my best to always create my own energy, but if I need to, I can pick up off of other energy. Wadapalooza specifically, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pop over to Flagler because we got teams going and we got people cheering. We got those kinds of things. And I think social battery wise, it's just either step away and just have my little recoup time, or jump on somebody else's vibe and just kind of keep myself going.
Ride the wave.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay Sizzle, I see you in here too, bud. What's up? Ed AI, I worked while I was in Miami and I did 30,000 steps a day. I was wrecked. Dude, what'd you do?
I averaged 25 a day.
Wow.
And I think part of that was because when you're emceeing, like, it's okay if I don't move side to side, like kind of slow down. But yeah, I was over 20 for sure every day. And I think most days I was like 24, 25. And it's
that
partially
Miami heat. Ooh.
Oh yeah. And then like the random rain, and you're drenched. And I mean, I sweat looking at stairs. So I mean, throw me into that atmosphere, and I was like, I'm just not even gonna worry about changing my shirt, because it's just,
and it's got to be muggy as hell, huh?
Oh, the
humidity.
the rain on, I think it was rain on Thursday and rain on Friday morning, and so oh my gosh, it was so bad. I was like, I can't tell what's water, what's sweat. It's all one. That's just how it is.
But it's okay. You all looked like that, so it didn't feel like you were just by yourself. Like everybody looked like that.
Yeah. No, and that's what I appreciate about Miami, because you have me in California, you're gonna know that I'm the one sweating in the room, but in Miami, you can't really
Everybody.
tell.
You can't tell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Ed AI, I worked athlete.
Liaison?
Wait, what just happened? I worked athlete liaison, basically walked every heat from warm up to stage. Yikes.
Yeah.
Woo!
So they were holding the big sign that said, like, these are the indie intermediate. These
Oh,
and they walk
gotcha.
them to each of their stages.
Oh, each for the actual athletes. Wow.
Yeah, because the athlete check-in was all in the same place. It's kind of near volunteer area in the athlete warm-up, and they would walk to whatever stage, and they would go through. They would always go through the main vendor village the way it was set up this year. So they either walked around to Flagler, or they walked over to, I can't remember what the grass one was called, and then you got Bayside.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely got their steps in. That's for sure.
Damn.
Hey, dude, how do you not lose your voice through the entire thing? Because I mean, this is not your voice when you're announcing. You gave us hey, can you do the voice? Do the voice. Can you do
your
it?
voice?
Do the voice. Come on.
Here's the thing. People don't realize the mic really does help out. Like a little warp in my voice, like, might sound funny, just you and I talking, but you add a mic to it, and there's that different sound, right? So like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna count you down here. Like,
there it is.
That's it.
Yeah. He's like, it doesn't have the same
no, that's fire
as the mic.
No, I get it. I get
it. Yeah.
So next time you come here, you have to have a microphone, like an actual in your hand microphone, so we can hear what the voice is.
You know what? I got to set up. We just barely moved just before the baby came, so I got a home office to set up. I'll get there.
There you go.
But
yeah. Just last little follow-ups, just for fun. Anything make you crazy starstruck? With first time somewhere, first time seeing a crowd, first time.
No, I mean, well, I think the vastness of Wadapalooza was like, oh my God, this is cool. And the way that they do it is, and they do it very similar for a lot of different teams, but the way that they do it is they can only have so many staff that they can pay. And then at that point, hey, you know what? We have this many staff. We should probably get 2 to 3 volunteers, those kinds of things. That's how they bring you in. So even though I only did Flagler a little bit, I did Bayside a little bit, I did, even though I was able to work all the stages and I mostly did a lot of the gauntlet, like just being there and being a part of such a big event, because at the end of the day, like it's easy to think like, oh, emceeing is all about me, right? But to see that I'm just a voice in this huge 20-30,000 person event was honest. It's ridiculous. It's so cool. And then in regards to starstruck, I think I don't think I've ever really been super starstruck. Like it's been cool to see people in the CrossFit space that are, these are your elite athletes, and getting to call for them. I was really cool. I got to call for Pat Vellner at West Coast, and I've looked up to Pat Vellner since I started CrossFit.
Are you a diehard Vellner fan? It's heartbreaking over here.
It's kind of hard. Like I will always, like, if Vellner's on the floor, I'm always watching him.
Yeah.
I think he's one that I always like kind of gravitate to. Mm-hmm. And then through personal interaction, Justin Medeiros is always a fun one. But I think that's kind of what's changed the starstruck side of it is, Hollywood, it's like, oh, maybe you'll get an autograph as they walk away, whatever. But like, elite athletes are humans. Like they talk to you, they have a chat with you. At Proven last year, Medeiros lives out there, right? And he came and he did a meet and greet, and I saw him. He jumped in on a workout, and I got to MC for him, and like he and I are shaking hands, talking for just a second. Him and Ellie, and like I think that's what's cool about the CrossFit space is you can get starstruck. People definitely get starstruck, but on this side, like my perception of it is like these are just really cool humans.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool to kind of get to meet more and more. I'm not BFFs with any yet, but I'm working on it.
You're getting there.
All right, well then I have to ask you who is the dream BFF? Is it Vellner? Who's like the dream?
It's kind of hard because like, when I was getting into CrossFit, I watched a lot of like Buttery Bros. Like I watched a lot of those.
Of course.
We all did.
And they're local to Salt Lake. And so like I've been able to meet athletes through them and the stuff that they've done. But when Vellner's one, like he's just an OG athlete for me. Like I just really like him. That's a hard one. Like I don't know if there's like one that I would be like, yes, but Medeiros, there is an event that we did. It was a fundraiser for OUR, if Operation Underground Railroad.
Yep, absolutely.
And they the Buttery Bros with Podium, they were just launching it. They brought Matt Frazier,
I remember that.
Malabrine came out, Justin, all that stuff. So this is kind of a funny story. Hopefully my sister doesn't watch this, but so
here you go, Ed AI, Ariel's husband. That's your dream best friend.
Yes.
Got it.
I've heard lots.
He's awesome.
Dylan is
pretty
awesome.
funny.
Ariel's awesome. Dylan's awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Fantastic people.
Yeah.
Yep.
But my first time meeting Justin, I was about to meet him, or I had already seen him because he's doing this event. It was 12 workouts in 12 hours. And my sister-in-law, she messages me, and she doesn't know CrossFit, but she's like, hey, if you ever meet this guy, like let him know that who I am, and that all this stuff. And what's funny is I'm like, how did she just find Justin? Like the day that I'm gonna meet him, she sends me this photo of him, like, hey, whoever this is. So I went up to Justin, and because it was at the gym that I worked at the time, like I was in the back with him, I was helping him out with stuff. I was like, hey, listen, my sister said if I ever meet you, I gotta let you know that she exists, and all this stuff. And he was like, oh really? Like, all right. And then it turned into like, hey, will you do a video for me? And
I love it.
So I videoed it, and I was like, hey, Tiff, I just want you to know, like, I just met this guy, and he's got something to say. And like, I turned it to him, and he's like, hey, Tiffany, I just want you to know, I know you exist.
That's awesome.
So I mean, Justin's one of the ones that I probably had more interactions with over other elite athletes, but he's just super cool. He's just a chill dude. He's just like anybody else,
Yeah, it's really cool.
That's fire.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what sisters are for. They're supposed to make you do dumb shit, and then you do it anyway. I
And
know
then
that.
she's probably like, oh my God, you did that.
Yeah. She was, well, she wasn't really happy about it. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Like, you
Girl, you
asked me
asked.
to. So, and then if I did it and I took a picture with him, you'd
Yeah.
have been mad. So
It's true. It's true. There was a lose-lose for me,
Yeah, it
Mhm.
always is.
always.
All right, dude. What's up next for you? We'll let you go get back to that beautiful baby and that beautiful wife of yours. So tell us what's
Yeah.
up next. We can follow you around.
Next lined up is Summit Games in Harriman, Utah. It used to be Iron Games. They've changed some things, but it's Summit Games in Harriman. That is October 4th and 5th, or 4th through the 6th.
Hey,
something
I
like that.
think we're streaming that again for Carl. Carl's
Carl's
going
gonna be
there.
there?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Heck yeah.
sure.
Heck yeah. Yeah,
that's
it's a good
fire.
one. It's a good one. And it's at Zions Bank Arena, which is really cool. It's a really cool venue. And so it's gonna be a hell of a time. It's their first time at this venue. Really good one. They're gonna have Noah, who is also a pretty big MC. And so it's gonna be an all-around good time.
Oh, good.
That's the one I'm lined up with. So
All right, cool. I'll swoon over your voice for a day while they work out. It's no problem at all. I have
I
no
got you.
problem
I got you.
fangirling at all.
I mean,
Well, and if Ortega goes too and he bends over,
Oh, yeah.
that'll lose the crowd too. The crowd got crazy over here.
Oh,
when
he
Ortega
bent over.
camera went right on his ass.
It was great. So good.
Ortega. Leave it up to Ortega.
Listen, yep.
Dude, thank you so much. I really
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
this. Hopefully we'll get to catch up again.
Love
Maybe
it, yeah.
before the next Wadapalooza or the next something.
Or
We'll
after Summit
check in with
Games or
you.
something like that or whatever. Like, just connect and see how it went
Sounds
and
good.
everything like that. So, well, congratulations again.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Welcome to parenthood. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, real quick before you go, how is wifey doing? She's home.
She's
Everything's good.
She's doing really good. She's a heavy researcher, and she made the decision early on that she wanted a home birth. She wanted to do things for herself, and it helps her sisters. A lot of them have had home births.
Mhm.
And I just kind of trusted her with what she's learning, and incredible. I mean, she went so fast, and
That's awesome.
It was, we didn't find out what we were having, and so
that's great.
yeah. So
wow, she just made you wait so much for this. Wait to tell you. Wait to find out what you guys are having.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm still like just in awe of the whole moment of when, she got to grab him, right, and she looks up at me and she's like, "We have a boy, we have a son." Like that was the most incredible experience for me. So yeah,
boys are fun. Boys are fun. We have a 7-year-old.
That's what I hear.
So, yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah, at AI, girls are. Yes, we are nuts, and we will drive you crazy.
We do.
Boys are way easier.
We do.
Like,
I said boys are fun.
Yeah.
I didn't say that they don't also drive you nuts. But
yeah. I'm sure I'll be finding out soon enough.
Oh yeah, you'll get there.
for sure,
It's a good
for sure.
time. It's a good time.
It's so awesome. Well, congratulations again to you both, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah,
soon.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. Please thank wifey for lending you to us for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate you both so much. It was very cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you later.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
That's it.
Yeah, he is
He's
fire, man.
cool.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
That guy was cool on IG. He's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Damn,
Listen.
2 Gabes in a row with brand new baby boys and home births and all kinds of things. That was really cool.
I know.
Jay Sizzle. I like saying your name too.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. So
but yeah, that's it. We're gonna do another one. We gotta talk about school coming up for our kid and the little small wins that he just got. He finally tried turkey yesterday, guys, for the first time.
did.
He's 7 years old.
tried
Finally
something new for the first
something
time.
new to eat. So
So
it was cool. It was
Yeah.
very fun.
but yeah, we'll catch up soon and give
Yeah,
you guys
we'll
a little
let you
heads
know
up
what's going
before
on.
school starts. And so all right, guys.
All right, awesome. Thanks
Bye.
for hanging out. Deuces.